What if your phone was watching you? What if the news was lying to you? And what if the truth itself could be rewritten? George Orwell's 1984 is often described as a dystopian novel, a dark work of fiction about a totalitarian future. But nearly 80 years after it was published, people are still asking the same unsettling question. Is 1984 just a book, or was it meant as a warning? Today, we're diving into the world of 1984. What Orwell was really trying to say, and why this novel still feels disturbingly relevant. To understand 1984, we need to understand George Orwell. Orwell's real name Eric Arthur Blair was born in 1903 and lived through some of the most turbulent events of the 20th century. World War I, the rise of fascism, the spread of communism, and World War II. He wasn't writing from imagination alone. Orwell had seen propaganda, experienced censorship, and watched governments manipulate truth in real time. In 1949, when 1984 was published, the world was already divided by ideology. Stalin ruled the Soviet Union. Nazi Germany had just fallen. Governments were rewriting history, silencing critics, and controlling information. Orwell didn't write 1984 to predict the future. He wrote it to criticize the present and to warn what could happen if power went unchecked. The novel takes place in Oceania, a totalitarian superstate ruled by the party and its leader, Big Brother. Big Brother's face is everywhere on posters, screens, and buildings, along with the haunting slogan, "Big Brother is watching you." Citizens are constantly monitored by telescreens, devices that both broadcast propaganda and spy on the population. Individual thought is considered a crime. Privacy doesn't exist. And loyalty to the party is everything. The main character, Winston Smith, works at the Ministry of Truth, where his job is to rewrite history so that it always supports the party's current narrative. If the party says it was never at war with Eurasia, then Eurasia was never the enemy. If a political figure disappears, they were never real. Truth is not objective. Truth is whatever the party says it is. One of the most chilling aspects of 1984 is constant surveillance. The party doesn't just control actions, it controls thoughts. This is enforced by the thought police, who punish anyone guilty of thought crime. Even facial expressions matter. A wrong look, a moment of doubt, a hint of skepticism. In 1984, fear isn't maintained through constant violence, but through the possibility of it. And this raises a powerful question. Do people behave differently when they know they're being watched? Orwell believed the answer was yes, and that surveillance doesn't just change behavior, it changes identity. One of Orwell's most brilliant ideas was newspeak, a language designed to eliminate certain thoughts entirely. Words associated with rebellion, freedom, or individuality are removed. You can't describe an idea. You eventually can't even think it. For example, bad becomes ungood. Very good becomes plus good. Complex political language disappears. The goal of newspeak isn't communication, it's mental limitation. Orwell's message is clear. Control language, and you control thought. This idea alone has made 1984 one of the most influential books ever written. Here's where the debate begins. Many readers today point to mass surveillance, data tracking, government propaganda, misinformation, and fake news, and political polarization. And they ask, are we living in 1984? Orwell wasn't saying technology itself is evil. He was warning about how power uses technology. The danger isn't screens, it's who controls them. The danger isn't information, it's who decides what's true. Unlike in 1984, modern societies still have choices, free speech, and access to information, but those freedoms require constant defense. Winston's rebellion isn't loud or heroic. It starts small, writing in a diary, falling in love, questioning the party. But in 1984, even private rebellion is dangerous. Winston wants truth, not power. He wants meaning, not control. And Orwell makes it painfully clear. In a totalitarian system, truth itself is the enemy. Winston's fate serves as a warning about what happens when resistance becomes impossible, when people stop believing truth even exists. So, is 1984 just a book? On the surface, yes, it's a novel, a fictional world, it's a dystopian story. But beneath that, 1984 is a warning. A warning about blind loyalty, the abuse of power, the loss of privacy, the manipulation of truth, and the dangers of apathy. Orwell didn't believe tyranny arrives overnight. It creeps in, slowly normalized, justified, and accepted. The scariest part of 1984 isn't Big Brother. It's the idea that people might stop resisting him. Because, as Orwell reminds us, freedom is the freedom to say that 2 + 2 make 4. And once that freedom is gone, everything else follows. If you enjoyed this video, consider liking, subscribing, and sharing your thoughts below. Do you think 1984 is becoming reality, or do you think it's misunderstood? Thanks for watching.